So, hello everyone, how you doing? This is I'm Dan Montas Tran, community organizer from My Haven Community Partnership, and today we got Diana Rodriguez from Eastside House. Hi Diana, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Everything's going well. So this month we're celebrating the National Hispanic Heritage Month. Well, it's not technically a month, because it's like split in half. So, but still, should be all year round, but can't complain. I guess
We're always celebrating.
we do. So let's go ahead and get started. So what does being Hispanic mean to you?
To me, being Hispanic is just coming from like a strong line of beautiful, passionate people, and being able to have those celebrations culturally, and really come together with different cultures across the Latino genre, in that sense.
I think this is why there are so many of us in the nonprofit. Because like you said, we just have so much passion for everything we do that once we start doing something, we don't give up until we actually get it right. And I think this is right nonprofit too. Okay, so now, so what are some of the aspects of being Hispanic that bring pride to you?
For me, I think my proudest moments are just when I think about our communities, is just coming together and to help and support one another. Even recently, when you see, people coming and getting food for others, making sure that they're sharing resources, and really uplifting one another, like that made me super proud. But we saw it in the past too, when, there are things that happen in our Latin countries, coming together and getting food, clothing, making sure that we're passing on the resources back to our home countries.
Yeah, even when when we had when Maria happened in Puerto Rico, there was just so much unity going around, like people collecting food, collecting clothes, just to support, even though they didn't really know anyone. I mean, they probably had family that were affected by it, but it was just all of us coming together. And it's just right now the same with the pandemic. There's so many people who lost their job, and although they may not know their neighbors, but if they get a flyer for something that's happening in the community, it's a, hey, here's a flyer. This is happening tomorrow. You can also come out. And I've seen that a lot, right now during the pandemic, a lot of sharing.
For sure. And then like even now that Eastside House is hosting these food distributions, I mean, we have people on the line calling their friends on the phone, like, come down, you could get a food box. So it's great to see that, how they're caring for others. And that's something that I'm really proud of.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that defines, the Hispanic community, is that we have a strong sense of community, Like I said, even if we don't know our next door neighbor, it's just, we're caring, for the most part, I think we're really caring. Our community, just likes helping out, even if it means, getting one less potato, that's just our community. Well, growing up, did you have any Hispanic role models?
This is gonna sound cliche, but for me, I would say it's my mom. Really, she's the most hardworking person that I know. And I've been lucky enough to really surround myself with really, strong and powerful women, from my family members, my sisters, my work family, and also just the friends that I grew up with. So, we really get to inspire one another in that sense.
But you're not the only one. I actually spoke to some of our older partners, and they said their mother, their dad, but for the most part, everyone has said their mothers. And I think it's because, in the Hispanic culture, we have a lot of strong women. That's what it is. It's a foundation of a lot of families.
That's true.
Women are, yeah. So now, do you speak Spanish? Do you speak Spanglish? Or where are we with Spanish?
I speak Spanish, but I admit the Spanglish does come out too. I think it's natural growing up in the South Bronx, and I'm born and raised here. So, the Spanglish just comes out. Sometimes some of the words that I thought were proper Spanish are definitely not. Whether or not I'm saying como Rufo or elevador, fire escape, is like all things that I really thought were words in Spanish, but definitely not.
Oh, what's the other one? Oh, fornitura. That's like the worst one. No. But that's not a worst Spanish. But
it's not?
I have heard so many times, But since we're talking about our culture and what it means to be Hispanic, what are some of your, and I know this is gonna be a hard one, but like, what are some of your favorite Spanish dishes? Like your top five?
Oh man. Ooh, all right. Well, arroz con habichuela.
Okay.
Definitely. I think I ate that every single day growing up, literally. um, but what it is to have like pernil, carne guisada,
Oof, yeah.
um, some good sweet plantains. Those are all things that I love. And then when I have, my family's originally from Puerto Rico, but loving also like Cuban food and Mexican food, and being able to have a taste of that in the neighborhood.
Absolutely, and the great thing about Puerto Rican food is that it's very similar to Cuban food, and most of the Caribbean countries, it's very similar. But then you have the Mexican cuisine, which is very different. And in my haven, we actually do have a lot of Mexican restaurants. So even if you're not from Mexico, you could just honestly walk down the block and find a restaurant, that has tortillas. Even though you probably never had one before, but the moment you actually have one, there's no going back. Like Mexican food is so
Oh
great.
yeah, the first thing that I do sometimes we'll have like people visiting East Side House from other states. And I take them to a really good Mexican restaurant because it's so authentic and it kind of has like that cooking at home feeling, and they fall in love with it instantly.
Hmm. Do you have any favorite, restaurants in New Haven that you frequently, go?
Oh, I do. I go to, I think my favorite in the entire neighborhood is Mexican food. So it is La Morada. So yeah, so right there on Willis Avenue. So just a few blocks away from the job, and being able to have kind of like fresh food that has some fresh vegetables, fresh meat, fresh rice. It's just delicious.
I know it's like a lot of people they go out of their way to go to the city, but honestly, they can just come to Mount Haven and see all the restaurants that we have because there are a lot of restaurants in Mount Haven. So many different restaurants, honestly. You have a little bit of
Right.
everything. So when it comes to the legacy, to your legacy, what do you want, or what do you think your Hispanic legacy is going to be?
I think for me, since I was young, I just really wanted to give back to the community that I came from. So bringing it full circle, being able to leave where I came from better than what it was when I was there is really the legacy that I hope to leave behind. Um, I think growing up in the South Bronx in the 1980s was much different than what it is now, and seeing that progress and being able to support those changes throughout the years has been impactful for me. Because while it might just be a little thing that I've done, I know that it has made a difference in some of the families that I've worked with, and with some of the students that I've worked with as well.
Absolutely. So since we're talking about representation and how the Bronx has changed, what do you think is important for Hispanics to be involved in local politics?
It's super important. We make up such a big demographic, especially of when we look at the Bronx. So we need to make sure that our people are empowered to use their voice, to be involved, whether it is on voting for the census that's
Mhm.
all going on this year, but also speak their voice on these big issues on health, immigration, um, with the workforce, employment. So these are all parts that we need to know what the community needs. And we're not going to know that unless we have our community speak up and really say, we need to change this, we need to change that, or we want to see more of this. And, the reality is that our elected officials are there for us. So they want to hear from us. And it's so important also to even see ourselves in the elected officials, right? When we have other Latino elected officials, we see our young people really looking up to them as well.
Absolutely. I think whenever I go to a community board meeting and I see, I got to start off by saying there are usually a lot of Puerto Ricans on the community board of one. It's a lot of them, so that's a great thing. But when it comes to the rest of the community, I'm not sure what's the reason why or what's a big, the disconnect. But I don't see a lot of them. And, oftentimes I don't know if it's a matter of, the language barrier, or maybe it is because, they feel like they might not be equipped to talk about politics. But I think when it comes to politics, anyone is equipped to talk about it because, as you mentioned before, anything that affects you and affects your community is something that you could be able to talk, you should be able to talk about, voicing
Mhm.
your opinion. And I think, sometimes, that's a big disconnect, that they just feel like that they're not equipped to talk about it.
So true, so true. I think the trust also. So it takes a lot for the families in our neighborhood that we're in to really trust people because there's so much in and out. There's different organizations that might just drop in for a couple of services and maybe highlight some of the successes, but really to have your roots down in the community and they have somewhere to go to, somewhere to speak their mind and share their concerns, I think has been big in the families that I've worked with.
Absolutely. And I think, we have so many organizations in Mount Haven. That's the thing, we have like 1,000 nonprofits. And some of them, they come and they do what they think that they should do. And then, they pack their bags and they leave. But then you have organizations like you guys, you guys have been around for so long. And I think, the community, they come to respect you guys because they see that you guys are in it to help them. And a lot of times, it's like they could tell when, when the organization is not in it to help the community. And I think, that's the biggest thing about you guys.
Thank you for that. And that's something big for us is that like once you become a member, we really look at it as becoming a member of the family. You could always come back, ask questions, look for more resources. And if we can't help you, we'll make sure that one of our partners are connected with you that can.
I think it's essentially it's so important, to be able to help the community and for them to know that you're really trying to help them. But Diana, thank you so much for joining us today. All I want to say to you is happy National Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for your partnership, and we hope to continue to work with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we'll keep the celebration going.
We're